Good evening. Wednesday. I'm joined by my kitty, who wants to hang out apparently, while I do a. Oh God! Here comes the other one. I'm doing my weekly new comic book day live stream that I do every Wednesday. This is my stack of new books. This is my cat Ollie. I'm gonna try and shuffle these. Thankfully, I did this before the cat jumped up to hang out with me, so I shouldn't need to do it that aggressively. But I'm gonna give it a little shuffle anyway, just so you guys can see that I kind of moved some of this around. Although it doesn't matter because I did not read a whole lot of this stuff because of the holiday. Because this week was the 4th of July, Independence Day, if you will. Most of our comics did not show up at our shop until today after we opened, so I did not get a chance to read anything that wasn't DC before. So I've read a few of the DC books that are in this stack. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, that is enough of a shuffle. I'm going to put this stack face down on the table and go through them one by one like I do every single week. I also have this to open. He thinks he wants this, but actually he really does. He likes crinkly stuff. I have this to open here, and I also have this to open here. I cut out my address information on here so I would not accidentally dox myself. I'll open those at some point. I can just tell you in advance, this is the, actually you can see it up here, the Tiny Onion Warehouse. This is the, I believe it is my June stuff from the James Tynion Substack. So I'm going to open that here. I talked to Comic Tom about this, and he already opened his monthly package. Normally we do it there on our live stream, but he opened his already because he's a little cheater. And also, I think kind of because our show was starting to turn into the James Tynion unboxing hour sometimes is what it felt like. So I'm going to do that here because I got this package and I'm excited. Feels like a shirt. I think there's a shirt in here, and there might even be books here too. It feels equally sturdy and also fluffy all at once. Okay. First book on the stack. Hey, it's a DC book, but I did not read this one. Speaking of James Tynion, however, this is written by him as well. This is The Joker. This is issue 15. Out of 15, this is the finale to the Joker series that's been ongoing for the last over the last I want to say year and a half. It's been fine. A little disappointed with this series overall. I can't imagine whatever happens in this one final chapter will completely reinvent my opinion of the previous 14 issues, but it was fine. It felt a little useless. That seems like a mean word to say, especially about my favorite writer, but this honestly has not grabbed me or pulled me in really at any point along the 14 issue run. It's really a story about Jim Gordon. It has always been a story about Jim Gordon and his hunt for the Joker, way more so than any Joker story ever could be. So you can't call the book Jim Gordon. I've been saying that this whole time. Obviously, you're going to call it Joker, and you're going to sell a lot more. You're going to do a lot better. But Joker's barely in his own book. So 15 issues. I'm glad it's done. I have not loved that run. This book, DC versus Vampires. All right, I thought I shuffled this stack a little better and got the DC books mixed into this pile. Apparently not. I don't think I read this one. Which one's Pets? Okay. But yeah, this is issue 7 out of 12 of DC versus Vampires. And I don't know how I feel about this story. It's better than it should be. For being 7 issues in, I think it's safe to say that I don't love this comic, but it's not. I was expecting it to be a chore and something that was really irritating and frustrating to read and something that I would not enjoy. But this book has its moments. I'll try and show off some of the art in here at least. Oh, I want to hit my cat in the head with, with the back of the board. He's fine. He wants to eat the plastic. Although if I show you a page of this book, I can show you potentially somebody who is vampirized and maybe give you a spoiler. I don't know. It's just a generic cityscape scene. It's just vampires all throughout the DC universe and various people trying to strategize and figure out who is still left, who has been turned, who they can trust. It's fine. I'm glad it's only 12 issues. That means the story will have some sort of structure to it. He really likes to lick plastic. And that includes comic bags, unfortunately. So I need to keep those out of his mouth radius. That's a thing people say, right? What's this one? I'm starting to think I didn't shuffle this stack at all. This is Flashpoint Beyond, number 3 out of 6, another DC comic. I swear I read this, but I don't know what the hell happened in it. There's like... It feels like there's too many events happening all at once right now. This isn't really an event comic. It is a sequel to Flashpoint, which absolutely was an event comic about 10 years ago. This is a 6-issue kind of follow-up series to that. But it's contained to this own 6-issue series, so you don't have to get like tie-ins or spin-offs or anything to get the full story that's in here. But it's just, it doesn't feel like anything super special. There is some cool stuff being done with, I don't remember her name. This is Harvey Dent's wife. The story takes place in an alternate universe, so she becomes Two-Face throughout, or at least throughout the last 2 issues of this 3-issue story. There's some cool little alternate universe stuff in here, and I think if you are a fan of Flashpoint, you should be reading this. Obviously, it's a good sequel follow-up story, but I don't know if I feel like I need to read the original Flashpoint book like a solid 10 more times to really pound it into my brain and like make me care enough about this sequel series, because at where it stands right now, it's halfway done now, 3 out of 6. And Flashpoint Beyond hasn't really grabbed me. And I'm kind of feeling that way about DC Comics as a whole right now. There's not a whole lot of, it feels like there's not a whole lot of cohesion, at least in the books I'm reading. And a lot of the stuff there doesn't, I don't know, it's not grabbing me in the same way that it used to. The first 3 books I've gone through on this list, for example, Flashpoint Beyond, DC versus Vampires, and Joker, have all been kind of and I really want to like them more. I don't hate them. They're fine, which is almost worse. Maybe that's why I'm having trouble remembering what happens in there. Obviously, I just generically have some sort of retention issues as it is with this sort of stuff anyway. But something about those issues in particular has been kind of just dry and boring and not what I want. Oh no, here comes the other kitty. I'm busy trying to screw this lid back on. There it goes. Okay, what's next? Little Monsters. This is number 5. I love this cover. I'm going to put that out there first. I've not read this yet, but if it's anything like the first 4 issues, I think I can expect just a general upwards trend of my interest level with this series has been growing more and more with each issue. It is about a group of child vampires, little kid vampires, in a, I hate to say it, in a post-apocalyptic world, which is a very frustrating sentence to say. There's too many of those. In a post-apocalyptic world where there are, where we thought there were no people around, but these kids have recently discovered a real human, and they are now, for the first time in their life, getting the taste of actual human blood, which is what they were meant to live off of and survive off of. And for now, they've just been eating like rodents and rats and drinking blood of lesser creatures, I guess. But now that they've discovered a human and have kind of starting to awoken their real vampire senses, and I guess this book is going to deal with that more moving forward. I honestly don't know where this title is going, and I love that, especially because not only did I almost not get this book at all to begin with from issue 1 on, but I almost dropped it after issue 1, which is something I don't do. But the first issue of this story left such a bad taste in my mouth after reading it that I was frustrated and wanted to just drop the whole thing altogether. But the creative team, Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, they are solid. They are dependable, reliable, and I knew, calm down, give it another few issues, see how it's going. And it turns out that it's a fun little book. I think it has potential to grow into something really cool, but still, as of right now, it's definitely not something I would consider my favorite. I don't know. It's definitely on the lower end of my own personal tier list, pull list ranking, if you will. But it's getting better, which is better than I could say about a lot of other books I'm reading. Ooh, this is a new number 1 from this week. I honestly don't know how to pronounce this word. Prometheus? It sounds really stupid. Prometheus 1313. I can't remember what this is. This is a some sort of sci-fi book that I put on my pull list a few months ago when this was in the catalog. Obviously, this cover is an homage to the Stanley Kubrick movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is the reason I went with this variant. I'm a big fan of that movie. Other than that, I can't even remember like what this is supposed to be about. I have not read it. I'm cautiously optimistic. This is not the only sci-fi number 1 in this stack. The other one that's in here I did read today while I was at the shop, and I'll get into that a little more once we get to it. This is Dark Crisis number 2. Yeah, number 2. This is the current summer event that is happening over at DC Comics, and you have the Justice League who have died, and now everybody who's left is basically trying to figure out what happened. And it's basically you have your team of qualified, experienced, really good heroes who disappear and are suddenly no longer an option. And now you have to rely on all of the untrained, kind of younger kids to really save the day. It's not the most enticing concept I've ever heard from the beginning, especially because I'm not super familiar with like Teen Titans or Young Justice or any of that really. So like a lot of the stuff in here is over my head, is new to me. Also, this is very much this is building up over years and years of DC history and continuity. More than anything, I think this is a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, the first real crossover event, at least in DC from the 80s. A lot of stuff from that story is brought back into this one, and I only read that once, and it was relatively recently, and I did not remember having the best time reading that story. I need to go back and read the original Crisis, and hopefully I will be able to enjoy this a little more, because again, like I've been saying with DC Comics, this book also has just been kind of there. It's fine. I'm enjoying it slightly more than your average crossover event comic, but the bar on that is super low lately, unfortunately, and I'm not excited. I'm just not excited about it at all, really. So hopefully it gets fun. We're 2 issues in. I don't remember how long Dark Crisis is going to run. I think it's going through the rest of the year. There's a checklist at the back of some of these DC issues that tell you exactly how long it's going, but whatever. I'm going to read it, and I'll probably just be moderately entertained the entire time is kind of what I'm foreseeing. What's next? Starhenge. All right, this is the other sci-fi number 1 book I was talking about. I did pull this one book down from the shelf today at the shop, and I gave it a read. This is the only non-DC book I have read out of this stack, and This is completely created by Liam Sharp. Um, yeah, written, illustrated, lettered by Liam Sharp. He's an artist who jumped on my radar after he illustrated the recent The Green Lantern series with Grant Morrison. He did the artwork for that. He also did the artwork for Batman Reptilian, which wrapped up last year sometime. Terrible comic that I did not enjoy, but the art was really dark and cool. And I felt the same way about The Green Lantern. It's a very strange book. It's written by Grant Morrison, so it's always strange. It had its ups and downs, but especially in the back half of The Green Lantern, the artwork in there really took a turn and got turned up to 11, if you will, and went in a completely different direction every single issue. And it really made me realize that Liam Sharp has a crazy range, and this book is really a feast for the eyes. This is his new #1 Starhenge from Image, and every page is pretty damn gorgeous to look at. I could just turn it to any page and flip the book around and show you, but you might get the sense of what I'm going for. Just the breadth and the amount of styles that Liam Sharp can work in is very impressive. I say this as somebody who does not, again, I say this all the time, I don't have an art brain, so I'm not good at like critiquing or analyzing or saying why something appeals to me or what certain artists do better than others. But I know the art in here I really love. The story I'm not sold on yet. As a matter of fact, I think if this book had any other artwork in here, I would consider dropping it just off of one issue. Which I know I just got done saying that about Little Monsters. That was a mistake. My initial urge to drop that book after one issue was a mistake, and I'm glad I kept going with Little Monsters. I'm obviously going to keep reading Starhenge because this is kind of quite unlike anything else that I'm reading, at least. But I don't love this book. I was hoping I would read it and blast through it and immediately want to start all over from the beginning, or want to shout it from the rooftops and tell everybody I know to go pick this up. It's just a little too weird. I can't even honestly tell you what it's about. It's a very strange mix of sci-fi, obviously, mixed with just fantasy, I guess. And I realize that's a really generic description that applies to like Star Wars and a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's like a weird mix. I can't explain it without really spoiling it, and I think this is one of those books that's better experienced for yourself. But I just hope I've had this problem a lot with a lot of issue ones lately, where like I don't feel like I get enough from the first chapter. So I think once I get issues 1 and 2 in front of me and I can read both at once, I think my appreciation for this world and what Liam Sharp is building here will really come into focus. Hi, Sal. I heard Sharp's been working on and off that book for like 30 years. It feels like it. That actually helps. That input helps because this book certainly has the vibe of somebody's. Like you get like, I don't want to compare it to Tolkien because it's definitely not that intense in terms of like a researched world and all that. But you get the vibe that this is the result of somebody sitting at their typewriter, their computer for years and years, kind of tinkering with lore and just a giant world and universe. So yeah, Starhenge has crazy potential, but this first issue did not scramble my circuits in a good way. It made me confused, so I guess it scrambled my circuits in that way, but it's very unique. I can certainly probably say it will be the most standout, unique book, at least in this stack that I've read. But I would say even beyond that, there's not a whole lot of other stuff I've read that's really similar. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but he's describing it as Arthurian sci-fi epic. Okay, yeah, you'll get that in here. I don't want to directly say anything that might spoil anything in here, but yes. There's a little bit of Arthurian vibe in here for sure, which I don't know. We'll see how much of that vibe will carry through into the future, but that was honestly part of the reason that the book Once and Future did not really grab me. It leaned a little too heavily into the King Arthur lore, which I don't particularly care about one way or the other. So, me personally, I would prefer a little more sci-fi, a little less Arthurian fantasy. So that's Starhenge for you. It's certainly the most memorable book I've read this week. Ooh, here we go. This is Batman 89, number 6, the final issue of this 6-issue miniseries that has been taking forever to come out. This would be issue 6 out of 6, and I can't remember what happened in the last one. I said that last time because it took forever for issue 5 to come out, and now here we are, finally over, 6 issues. This is kind of the unofficial Batman 3, like Tim Burton's third Batman movie, if he were to continue after Batman Returns. So this will be a really cool trade to give to somebody who's only familiar with the Batman movies, for example, and especially when you go back and you watch those original Batman movies again and you get through Batman and Batman Returns and then you switch gears and get into Batman Forever. I imagine if you were to binge like all 3 of those movies in one day, you would be it's a jarring kind of transition between Batman Returns and Batman Forever. And it does kind of leave you thinking like, I wonder what would have happened if we had gotten that third movie. You get to see a lot of interesting developments in this Batman 89 comic that the movies were only able to kind of hint at around the margins. And so it is cool to see the kind of fully realized third installment in that universe happen here. And I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. At least the first few. I haven't read this 6th and final issue, but I remember being like not only like surprised. I don't know. I was surprised that not only did I not hate the first 5 issues, but like I actually had a good time. Like for something that I figured was just going to be a weird movie tie-in book that nobody really asked for, that you put kind of no-name creators on, that they're not really. You're not going to draw anybody into this book based on the writer or the artist, right? It was you're going to because you loved the original movies, and on that, I think it delivered and then some. I was pretty surprised with this book actually, and I think that trade is going to be a cool recommendation. I'm not going to get it. I don't want to own it, but it's a cool recommendation. Let's put it there on the scale. Next book, Stranger Things Summer Special. I forgot I ordered this, but I'm getting every single Stranger Things comic, so this counts. Be interested